Skövde, Sweden, a small town 350 kilometers from Stockholm, where you can find a very peculiar bank, Jock Bank. Jock is a members bank with 34,000 members spread all over the country that loan their money among them, bypassing the traditional banking system and using their bank like a shared money box. Its aim is to create an alternative model of non-speculative finance, serving people and little entrepreneurs.
As an economic association, we don't have any big owners that demands profit and so on, because all the 34,000 members own the bank together.
That means that every member gets only one share of the bank and has the same power when it comes to the election of the board. The purpose of Jock Bank isn't making money, but offering a loaning and saving service to its members in the most sustainable way, stressing an interest-free idea of economy.
Interest transfers the money the wrong way, because people who already have a lot of money can get more money just because they owe money. And the people who don't have any money get less and less money because they have to pay the interest to take a loan for buy a house or whatever they want the loan for.
Jock theories about interest are those theorized by Margaret Kennedy. She explains what are the consequences of an interest-based economy.
Most people think they pay interest only when they borrow money in the bank. And in fact, it is quite obvious that every producer of a good has to put the interest that he pays to the bank into the price. If you look at everything people need to live, it's about 45% interest they pay for on average.
According to Margaret Kennedy's researches, the hidden interest on what we spend for our living is roughly 45%.
If you look at who profits from these interest payments and who pays, you can see, and you subdivide the German population in 10 equal parts, you can see that 80% of the people pay more interest in the prices. Those are the people who work for their money. And with 10% in Germany, it's about the same. They pay as much interest as they get from interest payments from their life insurances, savings, etc. And the last 10% get all that added on to their income from interest, which the first 80% lose.
Let's split Germany's population in 10 equal parts, using a scale of increasing wealth. The grey area is the interest paid in all prices and loans. The black area is the interest earned from monetary and real assets. According to Margaret Kennedy's calculation, the 80% of worst-off German population loses money because of this game. From position 1 to 8, the interest paid is more than what they earn. 10% of population, on position 9, gets the same money they spend. The remaining 10% gets all that interest which the former 80% lose.
So we have a constant redistribution mechanism in our money system. From 80% of the people who work for their money, they pay, to 10% of the people who can make their money work for them. And you have to own about over €500,000 in order to begin to profit from the system.
Finally, in Margaret Kennedy's opinion, what's the worst consequence of an interest-based economy?
The money system we have right now grows exponentially. In nature, that is a sign of sickness. The exponential growth occurs where things are out of order or are dying. And for instance, cancer is an exponential growth. Out of one cell, you will get 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. So it grows very fast. The reason why money grows exponentially is that we have one mechanism to keep money in circulation that is called interest. And with interest, money doubles in regular intervals. If Joseph, the father of Jesus, had invested 1 penny or 1 cent in euros at the birth of Jesus Christ in the year 0, and you would have paid interest on this 1 penny, about 5%, then in the year 2000, if Jesus had come back and could have gone to the bank and said, can I please have this 1 penny back with 5% interest? The bank would have had to give Jesus over 500 billion balls of gold of the weight of the earth at the price of gold in the year 2000. This is just an example to show that exponential growth cannot work over a long period. It can work in the short term, it can maybe work in the medium term, but it can never work in the long term.
Money is produced by as a loan mostly. In the OECD countries, only 3% of the money is produced as coins and notes. The rest of it is debt. And debt has to be repaid with interest. To avoid getting inflation, everything you use money for has also to grow at the same pace as you increase the money. And money has to be increased because you need to repay earlier years' debts with interest.
What are the problems with an interest economy?
The main problem is that it forces people to borrow more money each year in order to pay the interest on the loans they already have. If you don't do that, you have to cut your other expenses in order to pay the interest, and this means that you have to choose between exponential debt growth or an rapidly increasing unemployment.
Now in September the European Central Bank is going to raise again the interest rate on money.
Yes, and
they say to counteract inflation.
Yes, and this is quite wrong. I've myself done statistical research about that in Sweden during a period of 20 years, and it very clearly shows that about 4 months after you have raised the interest, you get the top of inflation or price increase, and then after about between 8 and 9 months after a raise of interest, you get an increase in the unemployment, and this will have an impact on the prices downwards, but this downward is not so big as the initial rise of the prices. If you rise the interest by 1%, you will get an increase in inflation about 0.5%.
JOC members don't receive any interest from their savings, and no shareholder gets any profit of the activity of the bank. The fee that is applied on loans covers only administration costs and part of the risk. At the end of the day, what is the effective interest rate of a JOC loan, the percentage that includes all the costs of the loan?
Most of our loans be an interest rate in about 2.5%.
An average fixed interest rate of 2.5% is made possible by the mathematical mechanism that makes the whole system sustainable, that works in this way. In this first example, we see our member saving 1 coin on the first month, another coin on the second month, another one on the third. At this point, it has saved 3 coins and collected 6 saving points, because in these months its money goes to other members that asked for a loan. Saving points are only a way to measure how much a member saves during a period of time, giving to others the use of his own money. Now, on the first month, our member withdraws his 3 coins and borrows 3 others, giving them back in 3 months. He pays back 1 coin each month and pays off the debt in 3 months. When asking for this loan, he used 6 saving points that he already earned during the past 3 months. Therefore, saving points are gained while saving and spent while borrowing. the effective interest rate will be roughly 2.5%. The basic idea is that everyone can get a loan for himself with convenient conditions only if he gives to others the same chance while saving money and gaining saving points. But what's happening if someone asks for more saving points than the ones he saved before? In this case, our member asks for 3 coins without having any savings, which he will return in 3 months. The first month he pays back 1 coin, but it's also forced to save 1 more coin in order to accumulate saving points. This mandatory saving is called post-saving or after-saving, since it's done after the loan has been given. The second month he gives back another coin and he saves another one. Monthly he is paying 1 part that is mortgage and another one that is post-saving, and the last one that is the 2.5 loan fee. Also for the last month. At the end of the 3 months he will gain 6 saving points that balance the 6 points borrowed before. Now he will be able to withdraw his post-savings, that in this case are 3 coins. Finally, in this late example, we are seeing the most common case. Our member begins by saving 1 coin on the first month. Then the next month he doesn't save anything. However, he still has his money in the account, which makes him gain feta points. Then on the third month he saves another coin. He now has 2 coins and collected 4 saving points. Then, on the 4th month, our member withdraws his 2 coins and borrows 4 others, giving them back in 4 months. In order to ask for this loan, he needs 10 saving points, but he already has 4, so it's just 6 saving points to collect through post-savings. Then, when the debt is paid back, our member will be able to withdraw his 3 post-saving coins deposited into his account. Inflation is a big problem in an interest-free system like JOC. Savings and post-savings don't give out any interest. For instance, if a member saves money for 30 years, never asking for a loan, it's obvious he's going to lose money because of the inflation rate. Isn't that a problem?
That is one of the main ideas about the banks. We don't really see the person as an individual. We're working with a collective. And so on, that the savings that the one person have done, he can give away the points to another who gains.
Because he doesn't need.
He doesn't need. So one can benefit from another. But and that's the important thing, that we're doing something together. Because that's what the whole system is about. Mm-hmm. We have about 34,000 members who borrows from each other.
Jag tror mer på ett samhälle där man kan stödja varann. Jag vet att när jag betalar in mina pengar till JOC, så vet jag att de lånar ut pengar till andra som också behöver i trängda situationer.
Loaning as mutual service among people, that is the financial heresy of JOC Bank. More than 500 volunteers working in 28 local branches give their time for free in order to spread that idea and to find new members.
For me, JOC is a very, very good way to give energy at my political thing. The world always changes a little bit in some direction, and if I can put the world or Sweden or Italy in that direction for an interest-free society, I will do it.
Lennart and his wife Britt bought their house in the Swedish countryside with a traditional loan. In 1992 they went as far as paying a 13.7 floating interest rate on their debt, that's roughly 40,000 euros today. Back then they discovered JOC and began to save money in order to gain saving points. In 1997 they moved their mortgage to JOC and obtained a 10 years loan with a 1.4 fixed interest rate that was the rate of the bank back then. Like most Jock borrowers, they were forced to deposit post savings, but altogether they paid much less through Jock if compared to 1992 installments, and at the same time they were saving money for the future.
What do you think about this system at the end?
I think it's been wonderful. I have seen how my debts has reduced every month. In the ordinary bank, it didn't reduce the debt. It only paid the interest and a small amount to reduce the debt. My husband will retire a bit earlier because also we have less expensive. So he has retired 16 months earlier than he should.
When I visited them, they had just finished paying off their debt and automatically, after a few months, they were able to withdraw their post savings. 20,000 euros were the amount of the post savings that were transferred to a traditional bank account. In fact, all Jock members need an account with a traditional bank in order to make payments and cash withdrawals, since Jock doesn't offer this service. But nowadays, has a Jock loan higher installments than a traditional loan?
It's like now you have only 4 or 5% interest, then every month you have to pay more to Jock for the post savings, and that perhaps for a young family with children it can be a difficulty. And I know that some people, they divide their loans into many shorter loans, one part for 5, one part for 10, so they get their post savings after a while.
Martin lives in Helsingborg. He recently bought a house which he paid 210,000 euros. He made a 5-year loan with Jock to cover 5% of the total debt. The rest is going to be paid through a 30-year loan with a traditional bank.
Why are you taking these short-term loans with Jock?
Because the after saving makes it impossible to have higher loans. So that's why I take as much as I can to afford. And a short term I think is also good, because then I got renovation and I pay back and then I have a new one, instead of having a big loan which I pay for a long term.
What's the effective interest rate of this 5 years loan?
The Jock loan, it's about 2.4%.
There are other important differences that persuade Jock members to take part in this alternative financial system, even in ideal terms only.
Jock is very local focused. We are not interested in going to China. We are interested in what's happening in the local area, and we invest money in the local area. And it's also, I think, we like to have it there from now and to 2 generations away, not to be there just for a couple of years and then disappear. This is what I call sustainable economy.
Mellanfjorden is a little fisherman's town in northern Sweden. Eva is an entrepreneur. She works in tourism and also manufactures fishing nets. She got a Jock loan to buy a boat engine.
The main thing is that if we don't have got contact with Jock, we should have must stop the company.
Why?
Because all other banks say no, we didn't get 1 Swedish crown for them. So Jock was the only way out. It's very, very difficult now in Sweden, that is my opinion, to have small companies, and you have to have very, very good results if the big bank should believe in your company. My opinion is that this kind of bank that Jock is a society that are more near the human being. And if you take this kind of land that we are living in north of Sweden, this is not a big town, it's small societies, and that is very important that Jock is coming here and help us to start companies, and then young people can stay here, live here and have jobs and so on.
Hudiksvall Mission Covenant Church needed to restore its church, and it's using another tool offered by Jock, the so-called support saving. Through this, people can save money together in an account that is used for a collective purpose. The savers remain the owners of their money, they are giving only the saving points to the restoring project. By this way, there is no need to accumulate post-savings, since they are covered by community's money.
All money we have in our church is given by people. We paid a lot of interest because we had a big loan in an ordinary bank, and every year we had to pay a lot of money in interest.
The loan cost with the former ordinary bank was roughly 5,000 euros per year. Now, thanks to JOC and support saving, the cost is less than 1,000 euros per year.
Even though I don't have a lot of money, I put a little bit of my money into this bank, and it doesn't cost me anything. I give the interest I would have had.
In your opinion, why interest is not a good thing?
It doesn't support those who are weak. This system really supports the weakest, smallest people.
When I think of money, Jesus also told about it. And he said that you can't serve both God and mammon. I don't know what is in English. Serving God, that means that the most important thing is not to earn and to look upon life as how much can I have, but to serve. Because this is said you have to be servants. And I think
to serve other people.
Yes, and I think this message has to do with JOC, and also everything both in Old and New Testament about justice, for example.
In Eskilstuna's mosque, I met Abdallah Kilan, chairman of the Swedish Islamic Society, an organization of 20,000 Muslims residents in Sweden. What Quran says about interest applied on money?
It is a very strong injunction against taking or giving interest on money. It puts people in a very undignified position. They get enslaved by the people, more or less, that gives them the money. And they risk everything they own in order to pay the interest, and the interest can get very high, so it becomes usury. In JOC, people put in money, they save money, and then they can borrow in relationship to what they have saved. And this works in such a way that you really don't pay any interest at all. If you have a fee, that administrative fee, for example, you couldn't call that interest, really.
The village of Trono is also using the support saving tool. The local economic association opened a shared saving account in order to offer cheap loans to local entrepreneurs. Thanks to this initiative, supported by villagers' money, the economic association was able to buy its own building, where they run a local handicraft shop and other offices. Besides, a dairy and a catering service based on local products have been opened. Right now, a farmers' cooperative is using Trono borrowing facilities in order to restore country roads that are used to carry 3 trunks out to the sawmills. Everything is based on the idea that a local economic business is an important service for the community, and it must be preserved. JOC borrowers must live in Sweden. The bank doesn't offer its service outside the country. However, its financial model was already copied in Germany, where in Stuttgart an interest-free cooperative has been created, inspired by the same system and principles.
We have an organization in Sweden that's called Kaya, that are JOC members as well. They have the knowledge of the JOC system, and they can consulting other people in other countries that like to start a JOC bank.
JOC was founded in 1965 by Åke Mobrant, importing the name and the idea from Denmark, where in the 30s the first bank of this kind was founded. JOC is an acronym that stands for land, labor and capital, the 3 main factors of real economy. An economy that, according to JOC's principles, must be interest-free and therefore not serving speculation.